one more happened, and yeah.
Oh, here's a walleye. Whoa. That one came out of nowhere. Just underneath the rattle reel right now. I'm just chatting with my wife Jordan on the phone. Ooh, is that one gonna take the rattle reel too? We'll let him mellow out a little bit before we dig out the spoon, but there we go. A red lake walleye. Oh my gosh. And the dead stick is going right now. Pure chaos. All right. Just another quick look at that one. Let's check the dead stick now. Ooh. Darn. It looks like the dead stick fish got dropped, but that's fish number one here on Upper Red Lake. We're out here in the morning fishing in kind of the southeast corner of the lake, and in this video we're going to share a bunch of tips that'll help you catch more fish out here, and hopefully we'll put a few more walleyes on the ice. So yeah, buckle up, we got some walleye fishing to do. You can see that one's just about to woof the dead stick. Oh, it totally grabbed it. I don't have a camera over there, but I'm gonna hit him. There we go. All right, what do we got here? Ooh, that's a good walleye. All right. Sorry I had to do that off screen, but at least we got a little walleye for you here. That one was on the dead stick. That one's pushing 20 inches right there. That would be considered an over. Right now in Upper Red Lake, you can only keep one fish over 17 inches. The rest of them have to be under. And that one just went on a little drop shot rig. And I'll get this guy back in the water and we'll talk a little bit about why dead sticks and tip ups and stuff like that are really important on this lake. All right, that last one came on a drop shot rig. And this is a setup that I've been using more. I've kind of fell in love with it on the ice, just because you can take it and you don't need a sonar, you don't need any kind of flasher or anything. And you can just drop it down, and once that weight hits the bottom, you know that your bait is going to be, well, however high you set it up. So right now I have this one set about 1.5 foot up. So it's very, very convenient. It's a setup that I really like. And I have that basically, you know, rigged up with a drop shot weight, a little number 2 kind of octopus style hook, and then a drop shot rod. So this one is, how long is it? 36 inch tuned up dead stick. And then I have it with a bait feeder reel, and my line on here is all fluorocarbon, all 6-pound fluorocarbon, and I do have a swivel on there because those minnows are swimming around and spinning up your line. So that's kind of my setup. But for me, when it comes to Red Lake especially, but anywhere you're fishing walleyes, you want to utilize all the lines that you have at your disposal legally. So in Minnesota we can use 2 lines, but I've had days out here where 100% of your fish will come on these set line options, versus the active jigging. You might see a bunch of fish underneath your hole looking at your bait, but every single bite will come on dead sticks. And you know, I've had days where it's 50-50, and I've had days where you know, the active jigging catches all the fish. But it does seem like more often than not for this early ice bite, the dead sticks end up being kind of the most important tool in the arsenal. As fun as it is to jig them up and get them to bite and get them to react to your bait, you cannot discount the set lines. They're just way too important this time of year. And that's about all I have to say on that. We'll talk about active jigging and some of my thoughts on that later in the video, but I just wanted to talk about first how important dead sticks are this time of year, because they're very, very big. All right, so just for reference, right here I got my active jigging hole, got my sonar unit, got my heater to keep warm, but this is where I have my dead stick set up. So essentially what I got going on here is that's probably a good 3 or so feet away from my active jigging rod, and I got it set up on just like a little dead stick arm here. And so when the fish takes the bait, it'll pull the rod tip down. And then I have the bait feeder, which has a switch right here in the back. So when the fish takes the bait and starts swimming away, it's basically got a free spool situation without having to have the spool open. So that rod tip is going to come down, and I'm going to see the fish sort of start to take it. And then as they take line, the spool spins and gives them that line. So that's pretty much my whole setup here. When you're in a house like this, you can set up a rattle reel. You can set up a tip up outside or whatever, but I love having my active jigging rod right here and my dead stick right here. So maybe I'm bringing fish into the area with my presentation here, and maybe I'm sealing the deal out of that hole. Up and they want to go and grab it off the bottom, but then other fish. Crud! I saw that one out of the corner of my eye. Dang it, he came up and spanked it. I was going back and rewatching an old video that I just shot yesterday. Dang it, and that fish came up and cracked it. I missed him. God darn. Oh, there he is. We don't have any minnow on right now, but sometimes you don't need a minnow head. There we go. You don't always need a minnow head. When they're hungry, ooh, when they're hungry, a spoon's good enough. And that is the thing. So you have, in contrast, you have fish that are gonna be more likely to eat that dead stick, and maybe they need something live swimming around down there, just, you know, as natural as you can get. And this guy's got a good bite of the line here. And then other times, that fish just wants something jigging and bopping around, and those are usually the fish that are a little bit more aggressive and mean. And this would be a perfect size eater if we were keeping fish. This thing is almost certainly just under 17 inches, so this would be a Red Lake under, which you can keep a few of those if you're coming up here. But I would say the most important thing if you're coming to Red Lake is be prepared with both of those schools of presentation. So you want to have your dead stick setups and you want to have your active jigging setups, and you got to be ready for both of them to go off. There's one over there, coming on the right side of the screen. It's coming in low, but he's coming up fast. There we go. Sweet. That's a nice one. God, they all just look so nice, honestly, with how porky they are. It's really interesting. I was fishing with my buddy. This one's mad. Look at how mad he is. He's just angry about it. He's just mad that someone pulled him up onto the ice. Look at that beauty. All right, I'm gonna get him back. Last night we were doing a live stream, and there were a bunch of fish all over underneath, or I should say minnows underneath. So we were fishing kind of into the dark a little bit, and you could see the minnows were just kind of like hanging out underneath the house because we had the lights on in the house. And there is an absolute ton of bait in here right now. These fish are really well fed this year, and they've obviously been eating good all year. All right, so really quick, I'm gonna run you through my active jigging presentation, some of the gear I got here. So essentially what I've been running is just a little spoon here. So this is an 1/8 ounce glass buckshot, and one of my favorite colors out here, and that is red. It's got a little bit of, it's got red on it, and then it's got a little bit of dark on the side here too, which helps just contrast in this darker water. So I'm a big fan of this presentation right here. And those glass rattles are just significantly louder than the traditional rattles that they got in just the normal buckshot style spoons. But from there, essentially what I got is I have 6-pound main line. This is straight fluoro as the main line, and then also 6-pound fluorocarbon leader. On Red Lake, it's a little bit darker, especially earlier in the year when things are still kind of muddied up on early ice, and you can definitely go heavier than this, but I'm just a fan of 6-pound overall. So I don't run into too many walleyes where I'm concerned about having 6-pound tests. So that's what I got, 6-pound fluorocarbon leader, and then I have a swivel because I'm popping that bait around all day, and I just don't need that line twist in my life. So from there, I've got that just on, I think this is actually a little bit of a bigger reel. This is a 2500, but I'll run anywhere from 1,000 up to 2,500 size reels. I prefer to have bigger size reels just because they have bigger arbor, usually better drag, and just the stats on them all around tend to be a little bit better. And then I have that taped to my 38-inch Power Precision tuned up rod. And this for me is just my favorite all-around rod for fishing anywhere, whether it's Mille Lacs, up in Canada, Red Lake. It's got plenty of backbone, so I can handle any pike I might happen to run into, and then obviously any walleye that's going to be swimming in this lake is not going to be an issue. But I like having something a little bit longer for hole hopping. And then the shack that I'm in right now is big enough that I don't have to worry about this longer rod. So that's pretty much my setup, and this is a setup that I always have ready. You know, the bait may change, but the line, the reel, the rod is pretty much going to stay the same no matter what. Oh, did you guys see the way that fish powered up and creamed it? That was awesome. Ooh, it's going wild. With that thin ice, the fish just come up right up into the hole. Look at that guy. That was a cool strike. Man, that was really fun, wasn't it? Right there on the red buckshot of the glass variety. And when they get angry like this, it's tough to get it out of their stinking mouth. Even when it's hanging out like that, they just clamp down on it like a big mean pike. That one totally struck like a pike too. That thing was just not happy to be here. It was hungry, it wanted food, and unfortunately it's gonna have to go back down and find some more food, because he's not getting anything from that. But how cool is that? Just a super souped up walleye. And this is totally the exact opposite of the mood of the fish yesterday. Yesterday, we were seeing fish and it was just like they were the most lethargic fish in the stinking world. And today, this morning, for whatever reason, they're a lot more souped up and angry. And this bite just gets better and better as the water clears up. So literally every day, you know, the bite should be improving. Of course, there's going to be ebbs and flows, off days and whatnot. But anyway, that's not a bad fish. And it looks like we also got a fish looking at the dead stick right now too. So a little bit of activity this morning. All right. The dead stick just got drilled. Just drilled. All right. We're doing this halfway off camera, but ooh, there we go. Ooh. There we go, a dead stick fish right there, boys and girls. Another one on the dead stick here, and this one is all kinds of fired up and angry. He just came up and creamed that dead stick. It just, like, the rod just bent over. So anyway, we'll get him back. So right now, because I know you guys are gonna want to know, you guys are gonna want to ask. We talked a little bit about the bite, but ice conditions right now. So right now I am fishing on 8 inches of ice, but I am also not going to tell you that there's 8 inches everywhere and that you should just feel comfortable. I would always recommend caution no matter what, no matter how much information you have, no matter how much you've seen of the lake. I would always recommend having caution this time of year, especially on Red Lake. There's spots that froze over, you know, big holes in the ice that froze over way later. So my biggest recommendation this time of year, and I know this is going to be kind of like a little bit of a letdown at the end of the video here, because I know you guys want to know conditions, but my biggest recommendation is to go on to the Facebook pages for all the different accesses and launches and resorts on this lake here and see what they have to say, because they are incentivized to give you the best information that they can, and they are always up to date. So I would check on any of those resorts. If you just find a few of them and look around, they're gonna have different information for different parts of the lake, whether that's the north side, the east side, the south side. So that would be my 2 cents on the conditions. But I want to thank you for watching this video. Upper Red Lake, one of my favorite spots to fish. And if you enjoyed this video, I have another one that I think you might like. I'll put it right here, and that is when me and my buddy Brett McComas, who I know a lot of you guys like, Mr. Target Walleye, we went out fishing on Red Lake, had a lot of fun. So check out that video right here and enjoy.